Hi, this is Joshua Slavitt. In response to my blog on special situations planning, I was recently asked whether or not a company should take action against employees who are not authorized to speak on behalf of the company, but who are anonymously communicating via blogs, chat rooms, email, and other mechanisms, and are communicating things that are in fact misleading about a company's position. And I was asked, what should a company do about this? My answer is simple. If you have a consistent position that you're communicating to employees, shareholders, stakeholders, regulators, legislators, and other key individuals, then you have nothing to worry about. Let me present three scenarios to you. In scenario number one, you have a group of employees who are talking about an issue that a company is dealing with, and they're raising all sorts of conjecture, and in fact they're communicating a number of inaccurate statements. On the other hand, from day one, the company has had a consistent message about this particular issue and can go back and document from the start of the issue to the current time that they have had a consistent message. In scenario two, you have an employee who gets a hold of a memo that clearly shows that the company has essentially two different policies about how it's dealing with a special situation. One of them is an internal policy, and the other one is essentially just a public relations policy. So that employee feels like the company is violating its own code of conduct, and they go to a group of shareholders, they go to a regulatory body, they go to a prosecutor or to the media. They've essentially become a whistleblower. In scenario three, you have a company essentially having two sets of policies where there is a documented process where the company talks about the issue one way and then handles it in the public domain in a different way. Now I ask you, which of these three scenarios is worse? Well, if you pick the last scenario, you're correct. Because in the first place, if a bunch of employees are out there talking about an issue, even if they are not authorized spokespeople for the company, as long as you've had a consistent message about an issue that you're dealing with, then essentially it's a non-story. In the second scenario, the last thing you want is to create a situation where an employee becomes a whistleblower, and even worse, the last thing you want to do is fire that employee, because that can really show that you are being disingenuous about the issue that you're dealing with. That's probably one of the reasons why BP now has a $20 billion escrow account in place to have to deal with all of the liabilities that are going to result from the Gulf oil spill. Now, does that mean that you cannot have a policy in place that tells employees that only official spokespeople are allowed to communicate on an issue, and there could be disciplinary action if people speak out without being official spokespeople? Of course not. Of course you want to have a policy like that, and it's fully appropriate for you to be able to communicate that policy during a special situation. Remind employees who the official spokespeople are. Similarly, does that mean that your special situations team and your C-level executives should not be debating what the company's course of action should be in handling a special situation? Far from the contrary. In fact, at the beginning of a special situation, you want a healthy discussion about how the company should best go about dealing with a special situation. But the point there is that you want discussion. You want as little documented communication as possible. You don't want the special situation team members debating these issues in email. You don't want them writing memoranda back and forth to C-level executives. And the reason is that it's not that you're trying to hide anything. The problem is that you want to avoid creating a paper trail that suggests that you're trying to hide something. Because later on, all these materials will come out. And the last thing you want to do is to suggest that you're being disingenuous about how you're going about dealing with an issue. So I hope I've clarified this. And I would welcome other questions that people have about special situations planning. Thank you.